Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. If you're not here, if you're not paying attention, if you don't see what's going on out there, well, that's why you're here. Even if you're looking out there, come here. We're going to talk about it. You're going to be prepared. Everyone else, they're taken by surprise, confused, worried. They don't get it, but you do. Welcome back. It is Monday, Bank Mayhem Day, folks, and it is on. It is started. I've been talking to people all day long while doing my job, juggling, wrestling, grabbing information, and we're going to talk about it here. If you're a member of the club, if you're a member of Subscribe Star, you can be here live now. I also want to tell you that I've got some more Mr. T's stuff. That's right. Mr. T is letting everyone know we're here to play. We're here to win. This is a serious game. So I've got a special message for trolls right here.
Attention, trolls. Any attempt to harm this channel will result in forcing YouTube to hand over your personal details for purposes of legal action against you. No more Mr. Nice John.
Attention, trolls. Folks, we're going to do my monologue for 30 minutes. Please get your questions in. Ooman, he's secretly in the background. Jolene, secretly in the background. Me, I'm right out front. You can see me right here. I can see you, folks. Have you felt it? Have you felt it? I'm going to peruse the comments real quick. Oh, we got Blue Cord. We got Charles. We got Nikki in the house. And it's on. Oh, Charlanator's here. We got a bunch. We got a bunch. We got a bunch. Ooman as well. Okay, folks. You survived the comet impact. You survived the alien invasion. But can you survive what our own government is going to do? Oh, yes. Here we go. Let's start with this. I want to go down this path right away. An Oscar-winning director. Oh, by the way, last night, the Oscars were on. I was talking to you on Sunday Night Live. I was talking to you at the zoo, and I didn't even know the Oscars was going. But this batshit crazy idiot had a rant defending drag children, drag queens for children, children in drag. What? And folks, he got a standing ovation. That's right. And he said this, quote, referring to the drag children and sexualizing children. He said, quote, "It's a threat to nobody." Really? It's a threat to nobody. Really? Yes, I will argue, and yes, I will say the drag queens, the drag kids, all of this stuff, drag children, it is a massive threat. Massive threat. Now, just understand this, folks. Living a moral life, a quality life with proper mental health is critical to being a successful human being, successful in all of life. It's successful for children and parents to have good mental health, right? For their lives, for the nuclear families that they grew up with. Remember that nuclear family stuff where it was the mom and the dad and the kids, and then some of the extended family, cousins and uncles and aunts and grandparents. That was the nuclear family. Now, the communist government, working with left-wing lunatics, wants to destroy the nuclear family, turn kids against their parents based on their secret sexual identities and the fact that they hate themselves and their parents because of their race. You know, everyone's white supremacist. Even if you're black, you're a white supremacist. Don't forget that, right? Everything is bad. America bad. Your family's bad. You are bad. So they grow up, folks, these kids today, with no moral foundation. And that leads to mental health issues. That's right. As well as unhealthy sexual lives, you know, like disease and mental health. Remember this. I want to remind you this. Let's take you back just a few years. Remember when we always heard about people and their self-esteem and their self-worth? Especially children, we need to make sure they have self-esteem and self-worth. Where is the self-esteem? Where is the self-worth with drag children? How can they value themselves when they're always depending on applause from sexual freaks and teachers with pink hair? Where's the baseline? Where do you say this is what we should be aspiring to? Minimum, the baseline. When you've got that kind of crap being hammered at you all the time. Your country sucks. Your race sucks. Your society sucks. Your culture sucks. It's destroying the baseline, folks. Folks, when hard work and morality, when law and order are valued by a society, there is, well, prosperity and a higher standard of living because everyone works really hard and they play by the rules, right? When immorality and perversion are the norm, then corruption, theft, perversions, and even murder follow on its heels. Where are we at today? SHTF, look out there, right? When there's no baseline established for morality, the government can lie to you and you'll believe it. Just ask socialist countries like, I don't know, China and the Soviet Union. Ask the victims of the Nazis about morality, decency, and holding this moral baseline. Ask the victims of the Roman Empire. Well, they're all dead. They're all dead now. But we have history books to look back on. I wanted to start Monday Bank Mayhem with that. How did we get to this place where banks are failing? Could it be theft? Could it be corruption? Oh, no chance of that being the case. No, not when we have fearless leader Biden. Yeah, fearless leader Biden came out today and helped calm the masses because we trust Joe Biden as our fearless leader in the White House. Yeah, no problem there. Let's see, the New York Stock Exchange today halted trading, folks. Halted trading because it was taking a crap. Now, you may look at the Dow Jones at the end of the day. It closed 80 points down. 90 points down. Not bad considering the federal government came out, the Federal Reserve, and said, we're going to cover everything. We're going to cover all the debts. We're going to cover everything. We're going to buy up Silicon Valley Bank. We're going to buy up Signature Bank. We're going to buy it all up. No one worry about it. And it still went down. Now, interestingly, and I just want to bring this up right now. Let's see. Silver went up 6.63% today. Gold went up 2.68% today on a flat trading day elsewhere. Do you think people are putting their money where it's safe in precious metals? Well, as a prepper, you put your money where it's safe in your pantry, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, while the banking system collapses, while the immoral run the show and tell us, don't worry, everything's fine. Here we are. Yeah, no problem at all. We got Joe Biden on our side, the man who has spent 40% of his time as president of the United States. The man has spent 40% of his time outside of the White House. Oh, no, he's not going to Europe. He's not going to Europe and solving the world's problems there. No, he's hiding in Delaware. That 40%, folks, is hiding. The other 60% is doing, well, stuff, I guess. Right? Unbelievable. And get this. After all this shit that's going down, the fact that Biden is the president, and he's been president for, 2 years. Everything is Donald Trump's fault. That's right, folks. The SHTF buck crapped all over Joe the potato. So he is now, I mean, seriously, he's blaming Trump for the broadening banking contagion and the failures. It's Trump's fault. Did you know that? The man who is not in office, the man who isn't in charge of the Department of Justice, the man who isn't in charge of the military, the man who isn't in charge of the southern border, it's all his fault. The man who isn't in charge of making sure that the bureaucracy enforces the rules. That's right, folks, the executive, the chief executive of the country, the United States government, that is, the president, Joe Biden, is responsible for making sure the IRS does its job. The Federal Communications Commission does its job. The Security and Exchange Commission does its job. The CFTC does its job. The DOJ, the Attorney General, the FBI, the CIA, he's in charge of making sure they do their job, which is stop crime, promote justice, right? Equality for everybody. But everything's doing this. Yeah, we were only down 90 points, but that was after the plunge protection team came in and bought all they could on the stock market to save it. That's right. Thank you, plunge protection team, for making Joe look only mostly shitty. Here we are, folks. Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's all over? Oh, I've gotten some messages from some people here on the show who are wealthy investors, and they're like, hey, you won't believe what I'm hearing. And I've got people on the inside, and I'm not saying they're secret squirrel. They're just regular folks doing their job. But they're saying small banks are in trouble because of the big banks. It's all interconnected, folks. It's all interconnected. People who work in the, well, computer industry, cybersecurity, they've got their ears out. They're listening. What is the chatter going on? What's being said? Got some problems with banking. Look out. And we've been talking about this. When did we say everything took a shit? Oh, yeah, back in September of 2019, when the Federal Reserve had to prop up the banking system, and it's been propping it up ever since then. Woo! Get your questions into Uman. He is down there. He is taking notes, copious notes from you guys. This is your show. Remember that. I'm just the face of being prepared. I'm just the face. That's it. I am the prepared mind, of course, and everyone just they just love that, I'm sure, right? I'm sure Washington, D.C., I'm sure they all love the fact that you and I are here taking notes. Taking notes. Let me turn off that alarm. Oh, yeah, something from channel check. Whoops-a-daisy. More things going right. Oh, man, it's going to get ugly, folks. Now, let's do this. The bank runs began today. That's right. Biden's words did not bring comfort. Today, pre-market, First Republic Bank plunged 66%. Western Alliance Bank, 62%. Customers in California, in fact, all over the place, lining up to pull their cash out of banks. What are you going to do with cash if they just shut down all the computers? No, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, right? We're going to find out. Well, let's do this. I want to jump across the pond, away from all the fruitcakes, the pie makeup tarts with bulges. Let's back away from America and take a look at Europe. There's big problems in Ukraine. Guess who's making deals with Ukraine? Guess who's trying to bargain, create peace? None other than, well, the Chicoms. They're now trying to talk to Voldemort Zelensky because he's in big trouble. Well, the propaganda is going wild over what is happening in Ukraine. They're going wild over it. Who's better at fighting? Who's better at propaganda? Who is winning this war, folks? Is it Biden and NATO? Biden can't even handle a simple banking crisis, which is, well, let's see, lower taxes, more freedom, stop criminality in the finance, investment, banking system, get control. Nope. Right. Yeah, he can't handle that. So maybe he can handle the war? Not really. Not really. Well, how about Putin and the Wagner Group? That's right, Wagner Group. Are they winning? Now, this piece came out today. It was very interesting, having to do with World War III, because that's what we're talking about. Do not forget, the opinion of this guy right here, this guy, is that World War III has started. And if it goes nuclear, or if it goes cyber, or if it goes all those things, as well as just plain old guns, tanks, and bombs, it's on. So we have smart guys like retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. He wrote an article, 1943 Stalingrad versus 2023 Bakhmut. And Bakhmut, folks, isn't down in Saudi Arabia. Bakhmut is in Ukraine. Now, people love to look at Stalingrad. That's where the Soviet Union was able to stop the German onslaught. Well, what they're trying to do is say, well, there's an onslaught in Bakhmut. And if this happens and that happens and this other thing goes right and some other things are really cool, then the Ukrainians might be able to stop the Russians. And that's what they're talking about. As if Stalingrad, well, yeah, the Nazis should have taken Stalingrad. I don't know, right? Stalingrad is not Ukraine. And 1943 is not 2023. So this is a propaganda war trying to get you to believe that Russia can lose, that Ukraine can win, right? The Ukrainians in Bakhmut, folks, are not fighting the Russian army. Did you know that? They're not really fighting the Russian army. You know who they're fighting? A private military firm, the Wagner Group. They're not even fighting a real army. They're fighting mercenaries. Are you aware, right? Most people are not. There's about 1,000-mile front that goes around, I guess, this whole situation over in Ukraine. That's a lot of stuff. Russia has 600,000 troops that are not yet committed, folks. They're basically being held in what's known as reserve. They're regular army, but they're being held in reserve. They're waiting. They haven't even turned it loose yet. But we're supposed to believe that Zelensky is going to win this, right? He and his generals have vowed not to retreat, and they're going to reinforce their position, right? It's horrifying, folks, because people are dying. It's horrifying because the people of Europe and America and the rest of the world are being lied to. Not that Putin is trustworthy, not that the Wagner Group, who is also engaged in propaganda, is trustworthy. But when you sit down and you look at real numbers, right? Look at real numbers. What is going on, right? This war is being fought on Russia's front door, not the front door of America. It's not that the American military is poised to fight on the Mexican border, because Biden wouldn't do that even if the military was being attacked or the country was being attacked by a foreign military. We're just being invaded by unarmed people from Mexico. But still, right? If we were defending and then fighting on our own door, it would be a much different battle, wouldn't it? Well, for Russia, it's just like that. It's their homeland being threatened. So they're fighting like it matters. Now, I understand the Ukrainians are as well. But Ukraine versus Russia, folks, is kind of like, it's kind of like Vermont versus the rest of America. It just isn't going to happen. It isn't going to happen. This is going to get nastier and nastier and nastier. Sadly, this isn't Stalingrad, folks. This is a slaughter. This isn't World War II. This is World War III. This ain't your granddaddy's war. This is completely different. Now, I hope you're enjoying the show, folks. It just gets better, or should I say nastier and nastier. Congress and Biden, they're at odds. Well, Congress is Republicans, right? And Biden, well, what is Biden? Who does Biden work for? It's been revealed, and we talked about it last night. The big enchilada of the zoo was Biden. They have paperwork, they have witnesses, they have whistleblowers, they have evidence that Biden's administration is directly tied to taking money from the Chinese communists. Well, this Wagner Group, folks, they're arguing about calling it a foreign terrorist organization. A foreign terrorist organization. Is that different than domestic terrorists here in America? Well, do we have domestic terrorists here? Yes, we do, folks. Yes, we do. Think about it. Ooh, that's good. If you care about your children, the federal government has identified and labeled you as a domestic terrorist threat. If you don't like drag queens exposing your children to their body parts, their way of life, their belief system, then you're a domestic terrorist. If you, as a parent, don't like your teachers teaching your kids that America is evil, that being white is wrong, that European laws that we abide by is wrong, negative, evil. If you don't like that, you're a domestic terrorist. So when the federal government wants to label another country as a foreign terror organization, should we give it a second thought? You see, but this is just a little different. They're talking about the Wagner group over in Russia, calling it a terrorist organization, a foreign terrorist organization. I guess a foreign terrorist organization is any group that uses force to fight Washington, D.C., and force to fight the Pentagon and the World Economic Forum, right? Why not call these people the enemy and then declare real war if they're that bad, right? We went and invaded Iraq and Afghanistan because we had foreign terror organizations and foreign enemies. Well, it doesn't make sense, no, because if they call Wagner a foreign terror organization or the enemy that we're fighting, literally, then I guess we have to declare war against Russia. So that's they're at, folks. We should be fighting them directly if they're that bad, should we not? Now, how about this? Let's put the shoe on the other hand. It's the other foot, but, you know, I like to say it that funny way. Can Russia designate NATO as a foreign terrorist organization? That's right. It's not a nation. It's a foreign terrorist organization to Russia because they are funding, training, and arming an enemy to their country that is sending missiles, rockets, bombs, and sabotaging Russian bases, cities, bridges, infrastructure, ports, and the people. And they're sending, folks, NATO is, mercenaries into Ukraine to fight. Why is the U.S. and NATO good? Why is Russia bad? Both are choosing to use violence and kill to get what they want, folks. That's a fact. The people fight these wars for these bastards over there. And people on the World Economic Forum benefit. You think they're not benefiting right now from the war and the munition sales and corporate profiteering over war? Do you think they're not making a shit pile of money right now as these banks are going under? They're going to buy up assets for pennies on the dollar. It is a massive wealth transfer. And trust me, you are not in on the win. You don't get to win. I don't get to win. No one gets to really win this. We get to suffer through it. We get to suffer through it. Unbelievable. It is totally unbelievable. So let's do this instead. Let's move over here to this room, this other room. Thanks, Uman. And hey, guess what? The Pfizer Files brings you take a wild guess in sports. A international superstar in football or soccer, if you wish, has had a little issue. He was training, 29-year-old super athlete down. Suddenly, are you surprised? Another international sports star, folks, super athlete has died suddenly, collapsed during training. Do you care to take a wild guess? Interesting, right? Yeah. I just don't want anyone to forget. I don't want you to forget. Never, ever, ever forget. All right, folks. But wait, there's more. Thank you again, Mr. T, for all of that. Thank you, Uman. I see you sitting there, buddy, taking care of business on the backside. The Prepared Mind Network, it is not easy to do this show. There's so many people involved in what is happening. Unbelievable. If you have a question, a comment, a statement, a thought, a prediction about the future, a revelation you discovered about the past, share it here live daily. We have some interesting stuff, folks. I just talked about a super athlete who's down, not just down, not just for the count, not just out cold, but dead. And we've talked about other celebrities who have suffered from the Jim Jones juice. You bet. From the clot shot, of course. From the juice booster, right? We've talked about Eric Clapton. Problems with his nerves, his hands, and everything. We have a problem with Justin Bieber's face. Justin Bieber's face is gone. And other folks, musicians have died, rappers. Talked about one just last night. Hey, but get this, folks. Here's one you may not have heard about. Everyone knows Bruce Springsteen. Talk about an interesting dichotomy. The man who is most famous for singing "Born in the USA," right? That guy, which was so patriotic back in the 1980s. The man with very little vocal harmonization, just the ability to scream really loudly, who is now part of the left-wing sellout woke crowd. I have to say this to Bruce, the communist sellout, F you. But guess what? Bruce and his E Street Band, they've missed several shows due to cerveza bug. And Bruce Springsteen has postponed, folks, his show due to an unspecified illness. I wonder what's going on with Bruce and the E Street Band. Now, while I do not wish pain, death, humiliation on anyone, I'm not Mr. T from Rocky 3. These people are getting exactly what they asked for. They asked you to trust the government and go get the Jim Jones juice. They asked you to listen to them because they're celebrities and they know, while ignoring experts, ignoring informed opinions like the ones I have and you have. Don't listen to us. We're misinformation and disinformation. Listen to them. And what are we seeing? A very high percentage of entertainers, folks, going down. Down, down, and down. I still doubt that Bruce Willis is suffering from a neurological condition that is not associated with the Jim Jones juice. Just not buying it. Not buying it. The timing is more than coincidental. And you may like Bruce Springsteen. I kind of liked his music a little. He was a marginal musician, in my opinion. Yeah, but he had some good stuff, I guess. He's entertaining. He's all American. Well, except for the part where he doesn't like America because he's woke. And goodbye. Goodbye, folks. I've got so many good topics here. It just blow your freaking mind. And wow. Where do we start? Where do we start? Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. We're getting towards the middle of the show. What happens at the halfway mark? Well, we switch over to you guys, right? Because I do my monologue and then you do the question and answer. The inner circle here on the preparedmind.club. You can join there for $2 a month, or subscribestar.com. You can join there at the Prepared Mind for $2 a month. And you can join us daily, live, and ask questions. You are the inner circle. You have a chance to influence lives. Now, it was fascinating. Over the weekend, I saw my son, Lucas. He was out on the East Coast, and I drove all the way to go see him, and it was great. I love that guy, so smart. But he's taken up the flag, not to be on YouTube, not to be on social media, but to make a difference in this world, but to fight for what is right. He says, Dad, I got that from you, right? You're supposed to make this world a better place. That's our job on whatever scale. So it was great to hear from my own son that's an interest of his. But and you can also join that by being here, by asking questions, by bringing up topics or perspectives or history or predictions, all these things. You also influence lives and make the world a better place by telling people to think for themselves, to be moral, to raise that standard, right? Not to some ridiculous religious thing where you want to, you're so good you're going to tell other people how to live their lives, but how about leave people alone to live their lives? How about not condemning people to death the way the left wing does, right? And not perverting our culture, our traditions, not perverting science and law. That's what the left does. But by maintaining a standard and maintaining a level of civility that we're not seeing maintained around the country. And again, no more Mr. Nice John. You want to play shitball with me? Then F you back. Now, Stanford University, folks, they hosted a get-together. They hosted, what do you call these things? An event. We'll just call it an event. And they invited a very important judge, but he was a Trump-appointed judge. And so he was shouted down. He was insulted. He was threatened by students at Stanford, right? And there was a dean there who ambushed him, treated him like shit. Well, Stanford, folks, has issued an apology because the equity and diversity dean did this and used the students. Equity means being fair. Is it fair to just attack people, trash them, scream and yell at them, bully them, intimidate them, and threaten them? Is that what equity is? How about diversity? If everyone is communist, where's the diversity? Where is the discussion, the debate? Because that's really what colleges were supposed to be about, was debating ideas and talking about ideas. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and improving the mind by making an argument or a debate and bringing both sides and bringing what you have. Instead, now they shout you down. They insult you. They threaten you. They attack you. So Stanford University has issued an apology, folks. Can you believe that? Well, F you to Stanford University. They're just another washed up pile of crap college of communism. Now, it's interesting, isn't it, that on these steps, on the streets, great philosophers used to show up and they would discuss human nature, psychology, politics for free. They called that college. That was thousands of years ago, folks. Now you have to pay huge amounts of money not to learn. You pay huge amounts of money to be brainwashed, to be indoctrinated in the most destructive, worthless crap on the planet. Unbelievable. So what do we do here? Well, if you've got an idea, bring it out. We'll talk about it. If you have an argument to make, bring it out. We'll talk about it. I won't just call you a big, giant, fat idiot. I won't do ad hominem attacks, red herring discussion, right? No. I give all ideas a thought. And then I, of course, bring my opinion, my perspective, and a little common sense, a little critical thinking. And we have some fun with it. But what we've discovered is the left wing has none of that. They don't have a cohesive, intelligent argument for what they have. All they have is destruction, pain, punishment, right? Cancel culture. It's still going, folks. So let's do this. Let's do Ask John Live. Another great transition piece by Mr. T. And Uman is in the background. He's got some great stuff. I've got more for you. And I'm willing to bet if I were to flip over to the news, a news page, there's going to be many more articles that have been added since we just started this show. I mean, since this morning, there's been so much crap going on. It's wild. In fact, Mr. Skylight let me know that that his research has demonstrated that we're going to get even more SHTF events crammed into every day, every single day, every time frame. It's going to get even harder. All right, Uman, who do we want to put up next first? And it's none other than Charles Gentry. He says, I can't say who my father was, but he predicted the path of America's fall. Not exactly how, but the process. What America, meaning the government, has done to the rest of the world will be done to her, meaning done to America. Is that it? We've got a parentheses and a the down there, Mr. Uman. Was there more to that, or do we roll with that? And since nothing's changing, we're going to roll with that. he's giving me, that's it. Okay, yeah. it's funny. What America has done to the rest of the world will be done back. Right? What you reap, you sow. Meaning what you plant is what you harvest. That's correct. Now, isn't it funny how we listen to these left-wing lunatics and they accuse conservatives, they accuse patriots of doing exactly what it is that they are doing, right? They're blaming Trump for destroying the banks. Trump's not in charge. They blame you for the problem kids are having. Well, we're not the ones telling them to hate themselves and hate their country. It is really, folks, really, really, really a bad place that we're in when it comes to this country. Now, we've talked about the Roman Empire and how it fell. Well, the government of the Roman Empire fell. The Roman people that escaped the SHTF and ashes, well, they continued to live their lives. And how do you do that? By being a decent human being, morally living up to that standard. Once again, the people of Rome, the people of, well, Gaul or France, the Goths, the people of Spain, the people of other European nations, which had far different names back then, the Celts, the Germans. Guess what? They were just fine after the Roman Empire fell. Yeah, things changed a little bit. They didn't have Roman garrisons pointing swords and wanting to destroy them at every turn. They didn't have that anymore. So imagine how much better the lives of people were after the fall of the Roman Empire. Right? People did better again. Funny how that works that way. Well, we're seeing the same thing. And it's not just America, though. I'll say this, Charles. America isn't the leader of the world. America is a rather useful puppet regime for the uber wealthy and the international elite banking cartels. Interestingly, folks, I drove near Jekyll Island. I drove past it on my adventures this weekend. Jekyll Island, where, well, the Federal Reserve Bank was created, where it was born, where the idea was hatched. And we've been under control of that bank ever since, to greater and lesser degrees. Lesser at the beginning and greater as we've gone through the timeline to the future, to here. Now what do we have? Banks and corporations telling governments what to do. And where government can't tell you what to do, they have the bank directly say, we're going to punish you. We're going to shut down your bank account. Kind of like Signature Bank shut down Trump. They closed his account. Oh, by the way, Barney Frank, that's right, Barney Frank, the butt pirate, the guy whose roommate was running a male prostitution ring out of his house. Yeah, Barney Frank of the Frank-Dodd legislation that's supposed to protect our country from banking fraud. And he's a member, folks, of Signature Bank. The second major bank to fail had Barney Frank on the board. Once again, morality, decency, justice, lawful behavior. You've got to maintain that standard. If you drop below it, shit goes wonky. And if Barney Frank is on your board, I can guarantee that, well, that's not where you want to be. Would be nice to know where your money's at, right? What's in your wallet, as they like to say. We got some questions. Yes, we do. Thank you, Charles Uman. Let us move on. Now, we've got this. Uman says, today I saw a Treasury official say they have the tools. I love their tools in their toolbox to fight this. Lower interest rates, perhaps, asked Uman. Like Biden took credit for decreasing gas prices he caused to increase by over 300 to 400%. Right. Right. They cause all these problems when they go, oh, we'll fix it by removing the policies we put in place to screw you over. Now, lower interest rates, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to give you a prepared mind, profit of prepping prognostication. They do not lower the interest rates. What if they raise the interest rates even higher? What will that do to the economy? What will that do to lending for homes and automobiles? What will that do to credit card purchases? Well, people will be able to buy even less. People will be able to afford even less. People will have to start buying items of less value or not buying at all. What have we discussed in the last couple of years? We've discussed how disgusting the super rich are, that they hate us, that they don't love the fact that America and the rest of the world is doing great, and that we have these great high standards of living. They hate that. They want our standard of living to drop and drop and drop. They want you to eat the bugs, and they want you to own nothing, and you'll like it, they tell us. So do they want to save our country? I doubt it. Do they want to lower interest rates and make life easier for you? I doubt it. I mean, it's possible they could lower the interest rates. What would that signal? That all of their policies have failed. Tools in their toolbox. You know what they're fighting with? Printing more money. Right? Issuing themselves units of exchange known as US dollars. And giving them to the banks and saying, here's some money, here's some money, here's some money. Everything's fine. That's diluting the value of your money, folks. Bank bailouts. Why did gold go up? What, almost 3%? Why did silver go up 7%? Just in one day, folks. One day. Why? Confidence in the system. Confidence in our leadership. Confidence in their toolbox. Right? We're losing, all of us, confidence in our dollar as inflation just eats away at it. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Unbelievable. Thank you, Uman. Great thing. Lower interest rates? I doubt it. More money printing? Why not? That's what they did yesterday when they made sure that everyone's going to get paid back at Silicon Valley Bank, SVB. Oh, by the way, did you know that Joe Biden made sure that happened? Did you know that the Chinese, that's right, folks, the Chinese communists are highly invested in Silicon Valley Bank? Quid pro quo, Joe? I think not. Or maybe I think so. It's up to you to decide. I just give you some facts. I give you a little bit of conjecture, and then I say, make up your own mind. I've made up this mind. I need to be fully prepared. Because if the bank's shut, what am I going to buy things with? I better have the things I need to live, to get by. Okay, let us do this. Let us have another question from you guys. Cottage Farm checks in. Hey, Cottage Farm. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is straight in the banks in your world. I really mean that. I hope everyone, the bank is good in your world. Now, Cottage Farm says, imagine being a billionaire and your deposits were at Silicon Valley Bank, SVT, right? No worries. America has got this. I'm going to take a wild freaking guess that the billionaires that are out there are not invested in Silicon Valley Bank. I'm guessing the billionaires out there weren't invested in FTX with a 20-something-year-old millennial freak named Sam Bankman-Fried. Do you think that billionaires are going to trust that punk with their money? Do you think they don't look into every investment corporation and every investment vehicle and say, what do I want to be in? Right, let's see, who's that guy? Warren Buffett. He invests in things like Apple that actually makes stuff and has assets and has intellectual property, meaning technology that's real. Not just an idea that's floating around out there. Not hope and a dream on some fairy dust. All right. Billionaires probably don't have a lot. Now, I'm going to say this. I bet they have some, because when you take a high risk, you get the chance for losing it or a high rate of return. Say you invested in 5 risky companies and only one of them hits it big. Well, you have 5 units. Let's just say $5 billion. You put $5 billion out there, but you lose $4 billion, but one of them goes big. And say it's a 25-time return on investment. Well, that billionaire invests $4 billion or $5 billion, if you will, to win 25. Net gain of $20 billion. That's how billionaires play the game, folks. They'll take some risks, but they won't put all of their chips on one bank. They're not that dumb. That's how they got to be rich. That's how they stay rich. They take some of those winnings and they set them over, well, that over here. They'll take some of those chips and they'll set it on the Democrat Party, and they'll set it on the Rhino Republican leadership and say, I'm putting money and trust in you guys to make sure your decisions are the right ones. And so Mitch McConnell looks down and goes, I like those chips. And legislation happens that helps the billionaires. Imagine how that works. I'm going to have to think about that for a while because I just don't quite get it. Oh, wait a minute. I fully get it. Fully get it. Anyways, Cottage Farm. Yeah, billionaires. Imagine being a billionaire and your deposits are at all of these banks. Now, don't kid yourself, and I won't kid myself. When Lehman Brothers took a shit back in 2008, they got hung out to dry. The government bailed out, I think, Morgan Stanley. They bailed out other major corporations. But JP Morgan ended up with the valuable positions. They were just handed all of this, shall we say, these assets of failed banks. Someone gets the assets that have value. And I'm willing to bet it's the billionaires that make sure that happens. We don't get to play in that playpen, do we, Cottage Farm? It's a big club and we ain't in it. And I don't know anyone that is in that club, folks. The Billionaires Club. I don't know anyone. Right? I imagine they're all licking their chops at what's happening as they enrich themselves and empower themselves. Crazy world, crazy world. Okay, oh man, let us move on if we can. Where are we going next? Oh, we got Charles Gentry again. He says, I wonder how big Silicon Valley Bank was into FTX. Now that, my friend, is a very interesting question. Once again, you take your money and you put it in the bank. All your neighbors, all 99 of your neighbors put money in the bank. 100 people deposit their cash, their paychecks, and they go, okay, put that money over there, got some extra money, going to do some investing, right? Saving this money. And the bank says, hey, thanks for the money. That's an unsecured loan. We'll take all those chips and we're going to invest it in risky corporations. Because, well, if inflation is 7%, 8%, 9%, 10%, as the bank, we want to make money not only on top of the initial investment, but we want to beat the inflation, right? So what does the bank care if they're taking risky bets with everyone else's money? No skin off their back. It's everyone else. They're playing with other people's money. And plus, Silicon Valley Bank, they seem to not have an investment risk officer. Whoops-a-daisy. So you have a bunch of idiots, a bunch of Sam Bankman-Frieds sitting on the diversity board of Silicon Valley Bank, making all manner of ridiculous investments. Probably quite a bit of money was sent into FTX, the money laundering scheme that was used to pay off American politicians. I wonder if that FTX money, folks, that went to politicians was to help those politicians understand the importance of other investments that FTX was making. Right? Hey, we're giving you this money. Take a look at our portfolio. Those companies need to excel in order to make our investment in you politicians worthwhile. One hand washes the other, right? That's called fascism, when corporations fund, sponsor, and, well, have the corporation known as a government help them out. They all look after each other. And you and I pay. Everyone put their money into, well, Silicon Valley Bank. Everyone put their money into Signature Bank. Everyone puts their money into, well, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, let's see, Chase, Citibank, JP Morgan. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, exactly. It's funny, when the stock market goes down, everyone I know says, man, my portfolio's taking a shit. But I look at the stock market, the Dow Jones, for example, and go, well, it's down a little, but it's not down 30 or 40%. It's only down like 5%, 10%? Why is it that everyone that I know at my level is suffering with their investments? Well, because we're sacrificed. We're sacrificed on the altar of investing, while the billionaires, the smart money, the exchanges even, seem to be all right. They always seem to buy at just the right time when the market's down, and then they elevate it again just enough so that their money is now safe and they're turning a profit, while everyone else takes it in the frickin' shorts. Woo! And that's how the game works. SHTF. You bet. It applies also and equally, folks, to health. It applies to the law. It applies to the military. It applies to the southern border. Everything is under attack by these lunatics. Oh, man, where do we want to go next? Who wants to step right up in its, well, cottage farm again? Equity is not fair. It brings others down or up to the level of others. Yeah, the term equity sounds almost like equality, but it's not. In law, equity means fairness. Equity law is not, well, law. Equity looks to make things fair by making decisions that are biased towards one party or another. Equity really, I mean, they use the term fairness. What does this judge think here? This lawyer is going to argue that his client or her client or clients deserve to have someone else's money. So they want to sue them, right? Because it's more fair. Well, they brought equity into corporations, the boardroom, right? Social governance, environmental governance, environmental social governance, right? We really need fruitcakes, perverted sexual freaks. We need them on major corporations to make decisions because we need equity there. We need fairness, inclusivity. We need diversity. Folks, 99% of people out there are too stupid to run a company. Or shall I say, they're not smart enough to successfully run a company, right? Those 1%ers, those CEO types that have the brain power and the education, the experience, as well as being well connected, they have what it takes to run a company. It's a very small percentage of people have what it takes to run a company successfully. So why would you include anyone in running a company that isn't part of that 1% that knows how to run a fucking company successfully? Right? So this call for diversity and inclusiveness to include fruitcakes, left-wing lunatics, communists, and people who have the right tan line. That's going to make corporations run better? No, it isn't. But it sure is fair, isn't it? So, yeah, environmental social governance is bringing corporate productivity down. It's making the profit level go down. It's ruining the system. Well, they call it, well, fair. It's equity. It's only fair that we do it this way. Every empire crashes because they become corrupt, they become immoral, they make stupid decisions. Hello, 2023. Are we there yet? I say yes. I say we are there yet. We're there now. I think we're there totally, meaning all the bad decisions are piling up. All the power is being held by just a few morons. Instead of intelligent people running everything, we got morons running everything. We have an idiocracy. And we have an idiocracy in banking, and an idiocracy in the military, an idiocracy in the bureaucracy, an idiocracy everywhere. What makes you or anyone think it's going to end well? End well. Uman, amigo, should I do some of my stuff, or do we have? We're going to go. Apparently we're going with Charles Gentry. All right. He says, here's something to consider. 100 years ago, there were 500 billionaires. Today, there are around 100 billionaires. Interesting? No? I'm not aware of these numbers. I've never seen these numbers. 100 years ago, 1923, there were 500 billionaires. I'm only aware of a few of those. Carnegie, J. Paul Getty, the Rockefellers, Harriman Brown. I'm only aware of a few. I didn't know there were 500 of them. But interesting. But today there's around 100 billionaires. Wow, man. I'm wondering, is that a typo there? Is it, you know, what are we looking at here? What are you saying? That even the billionaires are a class that is extinguishing? I know for a fact there are trillionaires out there, folks. Trillionaires. I mean, think of it this way. If a little shit stain like Voldemort Zelensky, if he can manage to squeeze $100 billion out of the United States of America through threats and coercion and bullshit and lies, that's 1/10 of a trillion, right? If Zelensky only takes 1% of what he has duped America and the world out of, remember, folks, America has given him at least $105 billion. How much has Europe given him? Have they matched total what America has given? Have they put up 50%? Let's just say they matched what America did, almost. $200 billion goes to, well, Ukraine. And Zelensky, he just takes his 1%. He now has $2 billion. Is he even allowed that much? See what I mean? These numbers are crazy. Unbelievable, folks. Okay, thank you, Uman, very much. And as promised, as promised, this is interesting. We're talking about corruption. We're talking about immorality. We're talking about government lies. We've got a lot to talk about. The Democrat representative from New York, and he is still claiming that the Biden laptop is Russian disinformation. It's like, what planet are these people from? Even the FBI has now admitted that the Biden laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop, is real. The information on it belonged to Hunter Biden. And oh, by the way, this guy named Ray Epps, who was never arrested, Ray Epps, who was suing people to stop using his name and talking about him, Ray Epps, who didn't want to be featured on the mainstream media, is one of the most recognizable faces, except for the bull shaman dude, right? The guy wearing bull horns. He's probably the #1 most recognizable person from January 6th. But Ray Epps, I would say, is #2. Maybe more well known than even Ashley Babbitt, right? Or Rosalind Boyland, who were both killed that day. Ray Epps, he committed criminal acts, and he was never arrested. He was never tried. He was never taken to court. He was never arraigned. Nothing. He committed the same crimes, folks, that 8 Trump supporters have committed and were arrested by the FBI. So an interesting subject that came up in my mind today. Interesting subject, this idea. Isn't there an amendment to the Constitution that talks about equal protection? It's the Equal Protection Clause. I think it's the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Case or Clause. Ray Epps lied. Others got charged with the same crimes, convicted, sent to prison. Is there an equal protection case here for them? That Ray Epps perjured himself. Ray Epps was involved in criminal activity. Why does the government operative, Ray Epps, get to commit crimes and not be charged? I think this is a question that should come out. Right? Why do others get charged and he doesn't? Is Ray Epps an agent provocateur who worked for the FBI trying to get people to commit crimes so that they could arrest them. Why is it that government operatives get to commit crimes? Why did a government operative get to participate in a so-called insurrection? Right? Crime is crime, is it not? Especially insurrection, which we're being told is so bad, right? That the world has not seen anything like it since Pearl Harbor, or maybe even the Civil War. An insurrection so big that only a couple hundred people were involved in it. Unbelievable, folks. The amount of shit and bullshit. I really think that they got a case to make. I think they've got a case to make. If I was their attorney, I'd want their crimes thrown out, because everyone needs to be charged equally for the same crimes. Interesting, folks. And by the way, speaking of January 6th, Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, says he is going to, quote, slowly roll out January 6th footage to news outlets. I get it, folks. The slow versus fast strategy. People get more little pieces every day. They'll get more information. And they'll get more sick of seeing Biden every day being involved in these decisions. And the Attorney General every day involved in these decisions. And the FBI every day involved in these decisions that led up to and had weight that got carried into the January 6th bullshit. And then afterwards, all of the lying. Folks, all of the lying. And the FBI is being accused of some very, very bad stuff, folks. You say, like, what? How about this? Perjury? You bet. How about witness tampering? Oh, of course. How about the FBI being involved in destruction of evidence, withholding evidence? Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. The attorney for some of the January 6 people want a special master to look into this. Tampering, destruction of evidence, fabrication of materials. Oh, yeah, the FBI can create whatever they want and just say that's the facts. You can't question it. People are getting screwed over. And McCarthy says he's going to slow roll this stuff. And he has not, still to this day, mentioned the word impeachment. Because Biden and the Democrats and the FBI are directly involved in this and many more crimes. Where is it? Where is it? It's unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. The amount of news that's out there. And I can't cover it all. Oh, by the way, Credit Suisse tumbled and took a shit today. Credit Suisse, folks. Massive, massive bank. Massive bank. Whoops. They're taking a shit. Unbelievable. Except it's totally believable. What do we expect, folks? What do you expect? What do you expect to come from these people? It says they line up and they continue to shit all over us. I'm stunned and shocked and disgusted. Let's do this. Let's call it a day. I'll be back first thing tomorrow, 0dark30. Share this video. Hit that internet location, right? The address bar. Share this video with others so that they can wake up too, so they can get prepared. Right? Preparation, it's this up here as well as all of those items you need: food, water, shelter, etc. Guns. Lots of guns. We're in big, big, big trouble, folks. Are you prepared for what's coming next? Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours.